Hey folks, good morning. James Azar here with the CyberHub Podcast for your daily Practitioner Brief. I hope you had a great weekend. You're well rested, ready to go. I know I'm back. I'm feeling like my old self about as much as I possibly can after 2 weeks of just COVID closing in on my body, but thankfully I was able to get through it here at home. Didn't need any medical attention. COVID is real, folks, and people should be practicing their best precautions. I will say that, it's the hardest part of COVID is the fact that it drains your life force and your energy. You feel constantly fatigued, constantly tired, and I could deal with the fever, I can deal with the cough, I can deal with all of that. I couldn't deal with not having energy. I don't know. Felt weird, but we got through it. Thankfully, I'm on the tail end of this thing, according to my doctor, so I'm grateful. Before we get started today, make sure you subscribe to our podcast right now. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe, hit the bell button, and you'll get notification. If you're listening on your favorite podcast listening platform, you can also subscribe there, please, and give us a 5-star review. Go to our website, cyberhubpodcast.com. There you can see all of our stories with all the links and everything you need directly on our website. And without further ado, let's get right into today's Practitioner Brief. We have a few things to talk about. We'll start with our first story where the Zerologon chain with Fortinet and MobileIron vulnerabilities are being seen in U.S. government attacks. This obviously according to CISA, which is warning that government networks have been targeted in attacks exploiting the Zerologon vulnerability in combination with flaws affecting Fortinet and MobileIron products. Essentially the perfect storm. And we constantly talk about patching. One of the challenges is we use security tools where we feel like our patches, if they're delayed a little bit, if we plan a little bit more for our patches, simply because of the functionality, the operational aspects of that specific piece of software or that specific piece of hardware, we feel like we're in place. However, oftentimes security tools still have vulnerabilities and we don't account for it. And according to this story by CISA, the recent malicious activity has often but not exclusively been directed at federal, state, and local, tribal, and territorial government networks. Although it does not appear that these targets are being selected because of their proximity to any election information, meaning this is not election driven. There may be some risk to election information housed on government networks, according to CISA. CISA is aware of some instances where this activity resulted in unauthorized access to elections support system. However, CISA has no evidence to date that integrity of elections data has been compromised. Now, here's what this means. A lot of people on Twitter have taken this really, really out of left field. Like, they've gone down a black hole of conspiracies. Here's what this means, and people need to understand this. Most election networked systems are not connected to the internet in the polling place, meaning they are closed networked, they're within that loop, and then at the end of the day, there is a hard drive that is taken to the county election committee that counts the votes. So when they mean support systems, it could mean personnel data, volunteer data in the polling stations. It could mean polling station data. It doesn't mean actual votes. And I think that's really critical for a lot of people to understand, especially now we're 3 weeks away from our presidential election. We know our opponents are out there trying to doubt the integrity of this election. And so that's very critical. According to CISA, the attacks, which appears to be ongoing, have in many cases involved exploitation of CVE 2018-13379er, which is a Fortinet 40OS VPN vulnerability, and in some cases CVE 2020-15505 are recently detailed issues affecting MobileIron mobile device management solution, something we talked about last week. Many organizations have been warned about this. Full stories available on our website. I suggest you go take a look there as well. Ransomware operators are now outsource network access exploits to speed up attacks. Ransomware operators who are eager to just shut down your systems in order to take advantage of it and get paid are now outsourcing network access exploits to third-party vendors in order to speed up. This, according to a report released today by Accenture Cyber Threat Intelligence team, which released a new research in one where they're seeing a relationship between ransomware operators and exploit sellers. According to Accenture senior security analyst, they're saying that a lot of ransomware operators are buying network access points, and already compromised ways to infiltrate a target systems are rising in popularity. It's hard to estimate how many successful ransomware attacks have taken place this year. Europol believes that these specific attacks often go unreported, meaning organizations typically just file an insurance claim, pay the ransom, and move on. Rarely are they reported. Especially recently, we've seen in the US where the Department of Justice is now saying that if you're paying ransomware operators, you could face specific repercussions for it. Network access sellers typically develop a vulnerability and then sell their work in underground forums for anywhere between $300 to $10,000, depending on the vulnerability and so forth. Our final story of the day is a Trickbot botnet targeted in a takedown operation. However, what we're seeing is not less Trickbot, but it's almost going unaffected. So Trickbot is one of the most active botnets. I've been talking about it for at least the last 2 years. Has recently suffered some strong blows. Many cybersecurity vendors, including the U.S. Cyber Command branch of the Department of Defense, and multiple security companies united by the same goal of pulling the brakes on Trickbot infection. However, we're not seeing a decrease. On October 10th, just over the weekend, the Washington Post reported that the U.S. Cyber Command carried out a campaign seeking to disrupt the Trickbot botnet ahead of the presidential election. It is not clear, however, how successful that was. Microsoft and ESET said that together with cybersecurity and telecom companies initiated activities meant to disrupt Trickbot. However, they haven't seen a major decrease. They're more looking for long-term effects. Up to this point, the partners across the entire industry have taken down an undisclosed number of C2 servers, most of them IP-based, by following legal procedures to cut their communications with the bots. And that's the other challenge that our law enforcement faces in these cases, is they have to go to court, get a warrant, then go to wherever that's being hosted, whatever data farm that is, and get them to disconnect that server. And with that being said, we're just not seeing much of a decrease in it or any changes whatsoever. And so keep your eyes out for Trickbots. As much as we see solutions coming through, it's still not over with. That's it for us here today at the CyberHub Podcast for your Practitioner Brief. Thank you so much for listening. Thanks so much for tuning in. Again, our full story is available on our website at cyberhubpodcast.com. You can see all the links, all the stories, read them, get all the details you want there. Simply go to cyberhubpodcast.com, click on our Practitioner Brief, click on today's date, and you'll see it there as long with this video as well. That's it for us here today, folks. We'll be back with more tomorrow. Until then, folks, stay cyber safe.